So today I wanted to talk about how to connect with other people. And this is my second time recording this video because I accidentally deleted this whole video that I just recorded, and that's annoying. We'll get on to the topic now. So, it's actually really easy to connect with people. Well, not easy, but it's simple. The main reason why a lot of us have struggled to connect with people is just because we make it hard for ourselves. It look like, for me, what it looks like is I want to ask somebody a question, but then my mind goes, no, don't ask that question. That's a weird question, or that question's too deep, or that's a question that I'm not really interested in. And it's actually really easy to connect with people if you can somehow overcome this barrier, because the key to connecting with people is you gotta ask them questions about themselves, but these are questions that you are actually interested in knowing. So for example, I didn't do this yet, but I wanted to, and then I couldn't. So I wanted to ask my dad what his homeland was like. So I'm Hmong, and my dad, he's Hmong, and he came from Laos, which is a country in Southeast Asia. Yeah. And from what I hear, it's like jungles and bamboo and bugs everywhere. And the only kind of meat they get to eat is chicken. But like, I wanted to ask my dad that question because it's something that I'm actually interested in. What is his hometown like? And I just have this feeling that I know that when I ask him that question, we're gonna connect a little bit, and that's gonna be a really cool thing for us, because I just don't know about about what his experiences are, and I've always been curious, but I've just never got around to do it. So the first thing and the biggest thing you have to do is you have to let yourself ask the questions that you really want to know. And don't think that you're bugging them. Don't think that you're taking up their time. People are dying to be asked these kinds of questions. Well, at least I am, you know? If I feel this way, then certainly other people feel this way. And you might think that you have to go through like 30 minutes of small talk before you can get to the deep topic. And small talk helps, but ultimately the formula, well, don't overthink this, alright? Being social and connecting with others is an innate part of being human. Children easily connect with other children, for the most part. Maybe not nowadays because they're being raised on iPads, but that's a different topic. But children are naturally supposed to just get along, and they do. Being social is like, it's not something they learn. Being antisocial is something that we learn as we grow up, and we get projected because of like the way that we think we look, or puberty awkwardness, or something like that, where we end up being overly critical of ourselves, or seeing stuff on social media that makes us feel shy and insecure, and that is what begins to wear down our confidence. Now, there's one question that you might then ask, which is, what if I'm not interested in asking them any questions? Like, I'm not interested in this person, I don't really want to get to know them better, or maybe I just don't even know where to start. What do I ask? And when I'm being honest, when you experience these kinds of questions in your head, it's because you're just not being curious about the other person. You're being insecure about how you look in front of them. You might also then ask the question, how do you bring it up? How do you bring up this curious question that you might ask? Like, let's just say, for example, you want to know someone's greatest fear. Now, how do you go and approach that question without it being weird or awkward? And in my opinion, trying to beat around the bush makes it more weird and more awkward. Just ask the question straight up, go straight to the point. Ask them, hey bro, I just wanted to know, like, what's your greatest fear? And he's like, what? Well, that's a way to start a conversation. And then you're just like, well, I just wanted to know. You don't have to share with me if you don't want to tell, but like, I'd be curious to know. My greatest fear is, and that's something that you can probably do without. You don't need to practice for this. You don't need to come up with prepare the conversation in your mind for this. You have to learn how to speak from your heart. And I'll talk about that in a separate video, but speaking from your heart is basically you're just talking, you're not thinking, and that really helps you to connect with other people. And of course you stutter like this sometimes. Like I'm stuttering a lot right now because my brain is kind of racing and I'm trying to speak words at the same time. And that's natural. Like, you're not always going to have something to say. Or maybe you have to take a pause every now and then to say what you want. But I can always go on tangents like this for some reason. We were talking about how to actually get into the topic. So yeah, just go straight for it. Don't beat around the bush, because people can kind of tell when you're like, you want to ask them something more, but you're just no, never mind. You're just doing yourself a disservice, because if you actually want to have good, interesting conversations, then you got to ask questions that you're just interested in. Now, the final problem that people usually would face is that they watch a video like this and then they don't apply it, right? So you have a question that you want to ask somebody, but then after watching this video, you're like, oh yes, I'm gonna ask this quick. I need to slow down. Oh yes, I want to ask that person this question, and then you just never getting around to doing it. You never get around to actually asking the question because you forget about this video, you forget about your intention, and you just sort of get into the state of complacency where you know what I mean, you know what I'm talking about, where I'm pretty sure I've done this before, you've probably done this before, where you see something, you want to apply it, but if you don't do it right away, then you just forget about it. And it's not like you were purposely trying to not improve, but what I just want for you to take away is that you try to do this right away after watching this video. Like, there has to be some question that you're actually interested in asking somebody. Ask that person after this video. Give them a call or meet up with them in a bit or something. But I would suggest that you avoid texting, because if you want to connect with people, you don't do it, through words on a screen. You do it at least by hearing their voice and having a conversation, but ideally in person with them, sitting at the park or walking somewhere or something like that. Spending time with them. So yeah, that is how you connect with somebody. So to summarize, the first thing you have to do is you have to stop tripping over your own feet. So let yourself ask questions that you are actually interested in. Oh, and that was point 2. Ask questions that you're actually interested in. Don't ask questions that kind of make you bored, or like, how are you doing, or what did you do today? Don't ask questions like that. Well, it's not wrong to ask questions like that, but like, are you really interested in the answer when you know the answer was going to be, oh, I'm doing good, or I didn't really do anything today? Are you really going to be interested in that kind of conversation? You might as well just skip it over. Jump straight into it. Jump straight into the question that you want to ask. And then finally, don't wait, or just try to do it as soon as possible. It just sucks when you have such good intentions, but then you just never get to it because you kind of forget. And if you do it as soon as you can, like as soon as you finish this video, then you actually benefit from watching this. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to connect with people. So, that's the second time I recorded the video, and that's it for this video. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.